We got a good fire going for the third night at this campsite. There's a lot of firewood around. I think it's gonna storm out. Dark sky. I can hear some thunder in the distance. I'm trying to burn this log in half. It's super dry. It should burn through that in no time. Got a bunch of kindling here that I collected. These logs here. Pick this up, it feels like a sponge. It's so light. Usually those would just absorb the rain, but it hasn't rained in a while, so they burn like nothing. Those dead trees. And there's dead trees all around here I can drag back. That's unusual. Usually campsites are picked clean by other campers, but also there's a lot of places here. Like I just was able to push over this dead tree. On its way down, it ripped all these dead branches down. I was able to burn all them. When it was down, I cut it up with an axe. Right here, this is what was on the end of that stump. A few more pieces I need to cut up. Now this, I took that down as a precaution. That's all wet. That's not going to burn. Because this was leaning towards the campsite. I was afraid that might fall down if we had any wind. And by taking it down, I made a notch and I pushed it that way, away from the campsite. We actually have a whole bunch of fire starter right here. Birch bark. It's easy to peel off. You just take your pocket knife, make a big slit down it, and it peels right off. That only works on dead trees. Don't try that with a live tree. You'll hurt the tree and it will not work. This tree's been dead a few years, and the bottom part of the bark, you see, it rots and falls apart after about 2 or 3 years. And because that's rotten, when you make that slit, the rest of it just slides right off. So that's a whole bunch of stuff I can strip off that tree as fire starter. And you can see other campers have been taking it off the live trees. That does actually hurt the trees. If it's already fallen on the ground, that's fine. Birch trees shed their bark about once a year, so when I arrived at this campsite, there was plenty of it already on the ground. There's another tree here. Somebody else pushed that over and got some birch off of that. That's a really old tree. It's probably been dead at least 10 years. The bark on that does not burn as well, because most of the oil has gone away. It's the oil that helps it burn. It'll even burn when it's soaking wet. It makes thick black smoke. It smells like oil when it burns. That's why it's such a good fire starter. And right there's a whole bunch of other trees that fell down. I think that was done by the Parks Department. Like it was thrown in there because it fell into the campsite. But they threw it there so people could cut it up. Right here, somebody else was cutting stuff. When I go camping like this, I don't bring a saw. I just bring an axe so I can split bigger logs. Here's some birch bark. Yeah, that flares up real fast, the oil in that. Great for throwing heat. But it only flares up for a minute. Got more dead trees way out there. Even more. Now, behind each of the campsites on this road, there's a small trail. You can clearly see where it is just from all the disturbed leaves. It winds down. It's like a 2-minute walk. There's a nice stream down there. Some of the campsites are right on the water, but they're not very private. This one here actually has a really long driveway from the road. See? Looks like someone may have had their fire pit here at one point. Like this site has enough room for 5 cars. This road does not have a limit on how many people you can put in here. The average campsite here, it's a lot smaller than this. Most of them, The driveway is like the distance right here. I was lucky I got one of the bigger ones. I tried going camping nearby on Cherry Mountain Road. Those are real big campsites. There you're allowed to have a maximum of 15 people and 3 cars. This place doesn't have a limit, but those were all taken. Those campsites are huge. Like it's a giant open field, each one. Very secluded too. Each one has a long driveway, but there's only like 12 sites. It fills up really fast, especially on a weekend during tourist season. But this road here, I am really deep on Jefferson Notch Road near Mount Washington. Here, a car maybe goes by every 2 hours. I'm pretty far on it. I tried camping a few nights ago at a site down at that end of the road, and there's traffic going by all the time because that's the end of the road. Everyone has to pass by that point. But there's only like 5 more sites beyond me, and surprisingly, it's a Sunday. Nobody is out here. I'm surprised. These campsites are not bad at all. These ones, they say, are only meant for under 5 people, but they didn't set a limit. Years ago, you see, there was another campsite right there, if you see that driveway, but I guess they wanted to make it more private. They blocked off every other one and put a no camping sign. So now it's every other one. Maybe it's to make it more secluded, or maybe it's so you don't run out of firewood. I bet they're going to close every other one and reopen those in a few years. Okay, we got a culvert pipe right here, but it's open. No clog there. Very smooth road. Nice and packed. Alright, let's go take a look at that stream. In a few minutes, I'm going to let the fire die down to where there's minimal flames. When I'm camping, I always carry a Class ABC fire extinguisher, which you can put out anything with it in the car, a 5-pound one for camping. But also, when I actually plan on going camping, I also have a 2.5-gallon water extinguisher that I bring along. The water extinguisher is really helpful because you never know. There's not a lot of clearance here. In case you lit a tree above you on fire, the water extinguisher can spray like 100 feet up in the air. And it would get that. Come here. Come on. April. April, come here. So you can see this campsite here must be horrible during a heavy rain, because you see how they have that bump right here? This low spot at the bottom of the hill must just fill up with water. But if I was camping here and it started pouring, I would just get out a shovel and make a little trench, drain that out of here. This road up here, I say it's smooth. There's some places you just want to glide really fast. The speed limit's 20. But there's some areas where they intentionally put these they make a deep rumble strip into the dirt with the grader just to get you to slow down. And there's a bunch of sharp corners. You can see the trees, the bark's all scraped off from people going off the road. This site here is perfect for me. At the bottom of the hill, there's a little flat spot before the fireplace. Right here is like 8 feet between the fire and the car. I just have a mattress in the back of the vehicle with the seats down. That's how I camp. And the windows, I roll them down, and I have some window screen I put over them and duct tape it to keep the mosquitoes out. Although there's no mosquitoes, it hasn't rained in a while. There's not much pooling water. But there are horse flies out here that try to suck your blood. This right here, unless you have a tiny little van camper, this would not be the site for you if you had a big RV, because there's a pretty steep hill here. Everything would be crooked. I've never seen somebody out here bring anything bigger than a 26-footer. That's the biggest thing I've seen camping out here. But most people just bring tents. That's the most fun. Most of the campsites around me are vacant. I'd say approximately once or twice a week the park rangers will come around just to check in, because there is a 2-week limit for each campsite. But if you wanted to stay, you can just pick up everything and move down the street to another site and stay a month. The park rangers keep note of how long people have been there, I guess. They probably wouldn't even notice, especially now. I don't think they'd care. Most of the sites are vacant. That's more like when there's people trying to get in here. Look in there, she looks so sad. I keep giving her 10-minute timeouts. Every time she starts wandering away from the campsite and won't come back when I call her, and also when she won't drop a stick she's chewing on when she's told. She's been getting better and better about coming over when I call her, because she knows if she doesn't, she gets a 10-minute timeout. Now she can wander around right here for a while. As it starts getting darker out, I put her on a leash, because she might do something dumb, I figure, like try to chase after a coyote. 10 extra gallons of fuel, and for my car 10 extra gallons is another 250 miles, so I don't have to keep going to the gas station. I can go around on logging roads and doing stuff, never have to go into town. That was an hour ago when I said I heard those thunderclouds. It just started raining moderately. I can't feel it yet. I just hear it falling on all the leaves above me. That's the good thing about this campsite. It's giving me like 20 minutes before it soaks the tree canopy and starts coming down here. So I cleaned up everything important that I don't want to get rained on. I gotta move some junk out of the way. Here I have this hospital mattress. It's kind of sticky when it's humid, so I have a mat on top of that. A few blankets and stuff. I always carry a full-size spare tire. I put the dog crate up in the front passenger seat, and usually she'll just sleep in the back here, but not this time. This time I have to put her in there because on night 1 she started having the nighttime diarrhea. It's this Purina food, which I blame. I gotta switch her back to Iams. She does not like this kind of food. I usually put a canned food underneath that. Keeps this thing sturdy throughout the night. I pull the seat up all the way, and it gives me 7 feet of headroom in the back for sleeping. I gotta obviously move this to get the dog in there first. Oh man, I just noticed. It's raining. I gotta put up my screens with duct tape on the car, because if I don't, duct tape's not gonna stick too well to wet paint. Here we are. Just duct tape a screen to the back window. For the other side. About time, finally broken in half. Trail, a couple 100 feet away from the campsite, you come to this little stream. Keep in mind, this year has been very dry. Ordinarily, the water would be a lot higher. Right there, there's an actually pretty good swimming hole. It's about 2 feet deep. I'm about to go in there and wash off, take a bath. You can see on that rock where the moss is, the bald spot of the rock. usually has water hitting it. So keep in mind that waterfall would be really big on a normal year. And down here, there's like a really flat rock. That'll be a good place to take and have a picnic. But like I said, on a normal year, that rock would be mostly underwater. You can see the bald area where the water ordinarily flows. But it is still pretty cool. Off to the side, the way it's shaped, looks like a water slide. That whole thing would be like a water slide going into that pool if the water was a little higher. This water never gets warm. It's always going to be a freezing river because this is flowing off of Mount Washington. And today, the summit of Mount Washington is 40 degrees, while down here it's 85. But at night, it's in the 50s. Mount Washington, a week ago, was 34 degrees. Another month, they'll be covered in snow. This is the light I usually bring with me culvert exploring. It's on high right now. That's what you're seeing in the woods. Low. SOS off. I just got a new one. I use dive lamps because they can go underwater. It doesn't matter if you drop them. I got this one here, which is cool because the back of it, I actually have to use this because my camera doesn't have a flash. See on the back it has SOS, medium, high, and low. When you first turn it on, it always goes to medium. You see it's compatible with cameras or GoPro. So shut this one off so you can see the comparison. This one is now on medium, high, SOS, low, medium, high. Yeah, that beam is like a lot brighter than my regular one. I'm going to be replacing this with the one I currently bring with me when I go in culverts. And that smaller one there is going to go with me on my headlamp. So this right here is a $30 light. That other one is technically a $25 light, but I got it on eBay for like 10 bucks. Some guy had it. It was brand new. He didn't want it. So, bought it. Fire still has a little bit of red glow in it. It's 2 in the morning. We're done camping here. We're going to be taking off, looking for some moose on the way out with some bright off-road lights. The off-road lights are like, it's 2 of these, but like 10 times brighter. My vehicle electrical system can only handle 180 watts, so I bought a light bar that's 144 watts. So it won't blow the fuse unless it hits 180. And you can buy light bars I saw that are up to 5,000 watts that you actually plug in with the cigarette lighter plug. You must have a special electrical system for that. Most guys, if they're going to go that crazy, they actually wire it directly to an auxiliary battery or something. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to just empty out my Class A water extinguisher, completely douse this, and we're off. Thanks for watching.